Top news story tonight begins with a very telling moment. You're going to see it right now as a Republican Congresswoman's Iowa town hall boiled over with voter anger regarding health care costs that even led to heckling.
When the Affordable Care Act was passed, the reason why lower cost, greater transparency. So be a leader. On the Affordable Care Act or the Unaffordable Care Act, there was no change.
What's your plan?
It's minimal number of people. It is.
How much are rates going to go up? How much?
That is the sound in one place, anecdotal, but it's backed by a lot of data I can show you tonight. It's the sound of talking points from the right wing running into Iowa voters, a place where Trump, of course, has done very well repeatedly, not just some super liberal place stocked with Democratic talking points. But if you deny people health care funding, if you deny people the programs that support their ability to get care, and then you run around saying things like the unaffordable health care bill because you think that's a neat play on words, right now you're going to run into angry voters. We saw that a week ago Tuesday in the voting. We're seeing it now. And Americans are clear on this issue. 66% say Trump has fallen short or broken his vows on the key campaign promise to bring down costs. Over 70% say they know their grocery costs have gone up, just like utilities. Most blame Trump. I'm going to leave this up for a second. When you see the 59% blame Trump, by definition, that includes people who voted for Trump. They were hoping for better. They might have liked what he said last year, but they blame him here on planet Earth in reality land because he's done very little to bring down the prices. He doesn't even hold events or talk about it, let alone do anything about it. We know this is part of the anger that drove the Dem sweep. I have more on that coming up tonight. As for what people are going through, and this is the shift in the polling you can see, Trump now in the Biden land of where Biden was when he was ultimately deemed a kind of a failed president at the end or drove out of the race by his own Democratic Party. Well, that's where Trump is. Trump may have a better knack for social media. He may have a voice that's a little louder and stronger. The SNL impression may be a little different. But when it comes to how people feel about them, well, Mr. President, early in your term, welcome to Biden year 4 land. It's not pretty. Here's where the public is in their own words.
I work 2 jobs right now, and I feel like I can't even afford, what I'm trying to pay for.
Look at the price I paid for this just a year ago.
Welcome to that just don't make sense spending money on.
The price of beef is wow.
These grocery store prices got me thinking Thanksgiving about to be spaghetti.
The way that groceries are grocerying, the way that gas prices are gassing.
$3.50 a gallon? Bruh.
I don't know if I'll be able to survive this.
Real people feeling priced out of their lives, even holiday spending. They're acutely aware that these are the problems Donald Trump vowed to fix on day one, only to start governing on a long list of other items, from the controversial White House demolition and renovation to publicly admitting an unlawful demand for revenge indictments to personally trying to pocket hundreds of millions of dollars from crypto to a plot to seize taxpayer money from the DOJ. If you listen only to Trump fans or some of what's discussed in sort of the MAGA media universe and podcasts, they'll say, nobody cares about this and nobody cares about that, and it's okay, and look what he, quote, gets away with. Well, he didn't get away with it on Tuesday, number one. That's just covering the facts. And number two, do you really want your president to be trying to get away with stuff in his second term when he has, as Obama put it, no more races to run? Now, the sentiments you heard from people there helped power the sweeping Democratic victories. The things Trump is more focused on that I just listed off have nothing to do with lowering grocery prices. And here we are, exactly 1 week later from the Democratic sweep. And boy, a lot can change in politics in a week, especially in election week. The voters' message and anger is not going away. In other words, what hurt Trump last week is hurting him this week and every week going forward until something changes or perhaps people don't see a better alternative. In politics, it's always what you have and what's the alternative. At least for the time being, Democrats from the far left to the center in Virginia seem to hold up one big message. Trump is a failure. He's also corrupt. We don't want kings in this country. And we will do what he is not. Focus like a laser on affordability and lower prices for you. Maybe throw in some health care while they're at it. Those are the messages. We know what voters picked on Tuesday. I want to get right to it and bring in New York Times contributing opinion writer Molly Jong-Fast and pollster Cornell Belcher, Democratic strategist who worked with Brilliant Corners Research and has worked for many Democratic campaigns. Welcome to both of you. Cornell, what do you see there in the sort of national mood?
It's a dark period, Ari, and quite frankly, you know, I've been looking back on data going back to 2008. Remember when we actually were in a full-out, recession, and many of the metrics and many of the attitudes that Americans have are very much in line to where we were when the economy completely collapsed and we were losing 100,000 jobs a week or so. And particularly with the middle of the electorate, Ari, you showed those numbers, but, you know, we like to pay a lot of attention to those independent voters. And in CNN's polling, it's even worse where independent voters, 67% of independent voters say Trump's policies have made the economy worse. So it's not just that, it's not that he's doing nothing, but They feel that his policies are actively making things worse. And I think that helps explain why while voters aren't necessarily crazy and in love with Democrats, they still are preferring Democrats and breaking Democrats' way over Trump and Republicans right now.
You mentioned the 08 crash. I mean, the Consumer Confidence Index is down around those levels, which again is striking because, as you point out, it shows that maybe it's a overall fatigue, having gone through COVID and the rebound and now have AI, job risks and a lot of other things. Maybe it's all sort of congealed in a different way, but nobody thinks, as bad as it is, that we are in the financial crash of 08, at least not yet, not right now. But that tells you where the pain is, and politicians and the Republicans who run the White House and the Congress can underestimate that at their peril. James Carville is known as a pollster with, or a campaign operative with less hair than you, but more experience. So, you know, take it or leave it. Depends what you want, what you prize. This is how he summed it up briefly last night.
I understand this was about affordability. It was a big issue, and, it was the economy's stupid. But I think corruption and cruelty also had a lot to do with this. I think there was just a revulsion. Yeah. I think people saw the gratuitous cruelty.
Where does that factor in?
No, I think that's absolutely right. I think we can oversimplify, and us in the media, we tend to oversimplify things as though there's only one variable at play. But clearly underlying, look, both Spanberger and Terrell ran up scores among minority voters that I haven't seen since Obama, and I didn't think a Democrat would do. And we had tremendous turnout. That wasn't simply about Democrats talking about affordability, right? It had a lot to do with it, but there's something bigger and larger angst piece going on here when people see in their own communities ICE tearing apart families and going into the daycares and schools. There's something fundamentally not right about that. Even right here in Washington, D.C., where we have, God bless our National Guard. They didn't ask to be put in this political place, but you have, the armed forces marching through the cities of our country. There's more here than just affordability. There's a bit wet blanket thrown over America, and it's about a lot of different things, about the very nature of America right now, not just the cost of things.
Molly?
Yeah, I think it's a really good point, this idea. There's so much unprecedented stuff here. It's hard to even, a big X factor is the tariffs. We have never been tariffed at this rate in modern life. So we don't really know what any of this is going to look like. But certainly the ICE, the National Guard, the mood of people having, in D.C., a lot of people know people who've been disappeared, who've been sent to these facilities in Louisiana, who've been deported to countries they never were from. I mean, this stuff is really unprecedented, and I do think, and even like the East Wing, things that seem aesthetic are actually a really big deal. And so I do think it's a combination of all these things that has really created an atmosphere where, Donald Trump, you have voters who are genuinely, just dismayed.
Yeah. And against that, Cornell, you have a kind of pushback that just doesn't seem to land for people. Donald Trump has been caught lying more than any other politician in history. The Washington Post has a whole department, and they track it, and it's sort of people become inured to it, normalized. It's also fair to say that other politicians try to spin the hand they have. We heard Biden officials, as you know, try to downplay prices and inflation. They didn't say we get how bad it is. We wake up every morning thinking about it. They kind of by year 4 were saying it's a lot better. Don't you see? It's better. It's better. It's better. People didn't feel that way. What's funny is how often do you say, "Oh, there goes Donald Trump," just like Joe Biden? That's what we all say. Maybe not on every issue, but on this problem, and maybe better educated historians than I could come up with all the comparisons of why people in power get like this. But here they are trying to look everyone in the face with the numbers we just showed and the election we just lived through. And here is the Treasury chief. Take a look.
We're comfortable that inflation has come way down. Even though it's been increasing for 5 straight months as of September? Well, I guess if you look at it from January, there's ups and downs and seasonals.
The issue of affordability. My rent's too high. I can't afford to buy a house. Groceries are too expensive. You think they're just misperceiving what's happening in their lives?
I think that that we inherited an affordability crisis. We inherited a mess. It was the worst inflation 40 or 50 years.
Cornell, you can give a grade on that messaging.
It's D, right? D minus at best. Here's the problem, and with a little sort of nod to the Obama administration, I think the Obama administration at least was making the point that, look, we're moving in the right direction.